This is a review of the Wingfeather saga.
The Wingfeather saga. So I got these books and read them to the kids a few years ago. We did a read aloud every night. And I read a few chapters at a time, sometimes more than a few chapters, because these books are very, very well paced. And so they end up being quite addicting.
We've let people borrow them, and they've stayed up all night and all day reading them because they're so good.
Literally, yeah. You lent them to one family member, and she stayed up pretty much all night to finish one book. Finished them all within like 5 days, pretty much, within a week. And then you lent them to your grandpa, and he finished them in like a week as well. And that's people who were kind of skeptical about the books to begin with. I was honestly a little bit skeptical about the books because just trying to find family safe reading that isn't going to be weird or have anything that we're not excited about in it is hard to find. And so we were a little bit skeptical, a little bit cautious. But once we got into it, I think Andrew Peterson handled all of the stuff like magic and creatures and all those kinds of things. He handled it really, really well.
There's 4 books, and I think there are 1,000,000 stars. And you'll cry at the end.
Yeah, I cried at least one time every single book while I was reading it out loud, because they're just really poignant, really powerful, really, really strong stories. Okay, so Trevlyn, what was your favorite thing about these books?
The animals.
The animals. There's so many funny animals. Now, we did have another family member who had tried to read them in the past, and he had a hard time getting into it because the first books are a little bit silly for the first book. And so if you're thinking this is just going to be a very silly series, which could be your impression first starting out, you might be turned off. But I would almost think of it more like a humor that's like A Princess Bride, where it's like a famous author who actually historically isn't very good. And it's actually very intentional. And by the time you get into the second book, it actually starts to work, feel not so silly anymore. And it kind of matures as it goes.
This is really funny. There's these in there, and it's so funny what they say. This one is to use permission to use a hoe, and permission to shovel up droppings, and a permission to garden form in the back of the first book.
Andrew Peterson
They have lots of pictures.
Did an incredible job in world building. And a lot of the world building is both silly and also just very cleverly funny at the same time, once you kind of get used to it. It's the world building is fantastic. So on these books, so at the bottom of the kids are just super excited to tell you things. I don't know if you can quite see because of the exposure here, but you've got the story here. But this whole section at the bottom on this page is a footnote that is a world building footnote. There are so many, and a lot of the things in the first book that are world building start to have impact on the other things. And there's like letters that he's inserted that are between characters and things. Like there's just a lot of really great world building that makes it a very vibrant, real, and alive world. Anya, what did you want to say?
In the 4th book, it's really exciting, and you'll just want to read the whole book because it's like a mystery. It's a mystery, and there's letters, and it slowly pieces together how the world is, how the things are going, and the bad guy turns out to not.
You can't ruin the ending. So yeah, the whole series, the whole time, like after we would read this and put the kids to bed, me and my wife would spend hours often talking about and theorizing about what was happening and who was who and what things actually were meaning behind the scenes. It just really kept you on the edge of your seat. It was a really good mystery, really good pacing. The pacing is fantastic.
There's lots of animals.
Yeah, there's lots of animals. So tell me about some of those, Trevlyn.
Hornhounds, toothy cows, quail eagles. Onion cedric. Fangs. There's fangs, and there's sea dragons, and there's cloven. There's
meeps and
flabbits and
all kinds of crazy creatures. Growing up, I was a huge fan of Lord of the Rings.
Second one's my favorite.
Narnia was one of my all-time favorite book series of all time. Honestly, this is now in the running for number one, this series. It is so good. So good. Highly recommended.
1 billion stars.
I don't know if I've ever seen one where you have people that are slightly skeptical and then devour the series so fast. And I think it's like a really good series for our times. It deals a lot with identity, family, sacrifice, and understanding, and living in a world where God is real, but He's not. Um, he's like He is in our daily lives. Sometimes it feels like He's not there, and there's this thread where you can look back in the series and see what's been going on and where God was involved, but in the moment, it's hard to see it, and so it just weaves it all together in a really beautiful way that's going to like actually develop the character of you and your children, encourage you, and strengthen you, and like challenge you on really in a really good, healthy way. As you can tell, the kids are really excited. They really love this series. One of the questions that we sometimes have been asked is, how about the scary level for kids? Is it going to be too scary? What kind of age range would you recommend? So oftentimes I find with youth fiction that the easiest way to know what the age is for is to look at the age of the protagonist, because that's who that's being written about, is often who is going to be the ideal reader. Janner is about 12 or 13 in
He's 13 in the fourth book.
Yeah, so he goes from 12 to 13 through the series. But honestly,
Lily's
yeah,
10.
you're 10 years old. You loved it. Trevlin is 6. He was 5 when we read it. He loved it. Getting to this guy when he was 3, it was a little bit above his reading level. But honestly, the scariest part is probably the first chapter in this book, and after that, I wouldn't really consider it scary at all.
Our cousins are reading it, and I'm going to see tomorrow whether they really like it.
I think they're going to really like it.
They had read the first 2 chapters, and they really liked it.
Yeah, so if you're looking for a book to read as a family or for your young person or to give as a gift, this is highly recommended.
Billions and billions of stars.
Yeah, billions of stars. You've heard it here. Hope you found this review helpful. Thanks for watching.